My name is Raczkowski, and I happen to be running for U.S. Congress. And I'll share this with you, that I feel that one of the most important things that I've done that got me here, because that's what it is. It's a journey to get here as a candidate. Otherwise, running for office is worthless. Unless you're running with a mission, it's another candidate, another political broken promise. I served in the military for 26 and a half years. See, I started out as a private. I didn't start off as an officer, but once I made the rank of sergeant, I was approached to become a drill sergeant, but I wanted to become an officer. So I basically went on and became an officer in the United States Army. I did 2 combat tours, earned the Bronze Star Medal in one of those combat tours in the Somali regional state, and that was part of the Operation Enduring Freedom. So I served in the military, and I'm the only candidate running that actually has combat and command experience. Out of all of that being said, when I left the military, my general at Fort Living Room, my wife, as I like to call her, the general of Fort Living Room, was the one that basically came to me and said, all right, it's time to focus on our business and the family and our child. And what was really interesting is she helped me start a business. And out of all the candidates, I'm the only candidate standing before you that actually owns and operates and started our own business. We're a $28 million gross sales, automotive and defense logistics and supply chain company. So, and we're headquartered in Troy, Michigan, but we do supply chain management throughout the United States, and not trucks, but the actual movement of parts and sequencing and sub-assembly and so forth. That's what we do locally and throughout the country. Our largest client is General Motors. Our smallest client is Dana and Akabono. So we have a potpourri of different companies that we work with. Besides the business and besides the military, let me tell you why I'm running. Now, I love the candidates that are here, but I feel that if I felt comfortable with any of them running, I wouldn't be running. I don't want to be a congressman. I want to be a representative. I'm more concerned about where our country is headed and what's happening to our country than ever before. Now, I am the America First candidate. Out of all the candidates, I actually was the chairman of President Trump's campaign for veterans in the Midwest area and in Michigan. And I was proud to be invited to the White House signing of the Veteran Accountability Act and a few other bills. So I believe in the America First agenda. I believe in strong borders. But I also believe in a strong economy that is not built on debt or national debt. Here's where I disagree with the candidates that are here today. I would have never voted for the omnibus bill, the $1.3 trillion of additional spending. I would have never voted for it. We have a current Congressman, David Trout, the Republican, that voted for it. And there are many campaign conservatives that will tell you one thing and then get to Washington and do another. Let me share with you a little bit of a medical secret that I have. And maybe I shouldn't say this because it's protected by HIPAA, but I went to a chiropractor and I did an x-ray of my back. And I learned that I actually have a spine and a backbone. And I say that because that's what it's about. It's about standing up to our party when it's wrong. And our party is in control. We have the House, the Senate, the presidency, but yet we passed an over-bloated budget. We haven't gotten back to regular order of budgets. And we're at by the end of this year, we'll be at $23 trillion in debt. And I know that you've heard many candidates talk about the national debt, and then they go to Washington and they move on. I believe it's an issue that we need to deal with. I have a daughter as well. And for my daughter's future, for our business, for our families, for all of us, we need to deal with that national debt. We need to also deal with our borders and border security. See, I'm uniquely qualified in that respect because my parents were immigrants. They came here under what was called the sponsorship system, the sponsorship program. By the way, my wife also came here. She was sponsored when she was 6 years old from Lebanon. So I understand immigration, and I will work hard to make sure that it's fair and right and that we protect our borders. Somebody at one of the other groups asked me, what's more concerning to you, China or Communist China's aggression, economic aggression, or the southern border? And I said the southern border. Because through the southern border, we have more fentanyls and carfentanyls, drugs and illegal movements that we need to stop. We don't know how many. terrorist cells could have potentially come through the southern border. But it's something that we need to worry about. So with that, let me share with you, my wife and I and our family live in Troy, Michigan. That's where we live. We live inside the district. And I would love to learn what's on your mind. So with that being said, let's go through kind of a discussion or questions. If you have any questions, we'll start from left to right, if that's all right with all of you. Is that good? Sir? Mr. McCall? Oh, we'll come back? Mr. Bardell? No? Ms. Bardell? Okay, we'll come back. Ken? No? Miss Lolio? Miss Noble? No? Bill? No? Tom?
Build a wall.
I'm sorry?
Build a wall.
I support the wall. I support protecting our southern border. Let me tell you what's more important. Not only with the border wall, but what would really stop illegal immigration is if we enforced what's called E-Verify. That's a current federal law that says that if you're hiring someone, you have to have a legal social security number and you have to have papers or documents that show that the person can work. Otherwise, it's illegal. I would say if you hire an illegal individual, you are supporting slavery. You really are. You're paying basically wages that are below a living standard. But what's really interesting is you are breaking the law already. And I would say that that should be a felony. For anyone that hires an illegal, undocumented worker, that should be a felony. And it should not only be a felony, but should also have a criminal component and a financial component. Here in our district, many of you know the Chinese restaurant that was in Novi, on Novi Road. You know the workers that lived in a house of the owner in their basement. 43 people, 18 of them, I think 18 died, right? 43 people were living in that house. 18 of them were there on a Sunday morning, and they all they perished from a fire. That happened in our district, here in the 11th district, the most educated, wealthiest districts in the state of Michigan. That happened here. It's amazing. It shouldn't happen. That should never happen in the United States. Any other questions, concerns? I know you've got, do you have any now? I'm sorry? Thank you. Now, if I can share this, I support immigration, but we have to make sure that it's right and that it's sponsored. My parents, one of the reasons why I joined the Army, and this isn't that old, it's just that I gained some weight and I stopped coloring my hair. I still got the smile. What's interesting is my parents, the reason why I joined the Army was my father was liberated by the 101st Airborne Division. He was in a Nazi labor camp on the Austrian-German border. My mother was in Auschwitz the last 3 years in a northern subcamp of Auschwitz. And the reason she was fine with my grandmother was because she looked like a young Shirley Temple and spoke fluent German and could dance and sing in German. So they made her work in the cantina. But I understand, I have one foot in history, the other foot in our future. And I hope that you can join our campaign.
Rocky, what's the one thing you'd change if you went to Congress right now?
What's that?
What's the one thing that's bothering you the most right now?
The national debt. But there's multiple. As a freshman, I know I'll be a backbencher. So I'll work on, and by the way, from the military and my parents, they taught me that if someone blocks you with something, figure out a way to get around that block. Figure out a way. We are such a genius country. We are the melting pot of the world. We're an incredible country where Elon Musk could lift a rocket with 2 booster rockets and then land them back at the same time at the same place. It was unbelievable. If we can do that, we can do anything in this country. But we're falling apart. We're falling apart. The left continues to protest and resist and fight, and we as Republicans don't have an answer. And I'm a strong supporter of heritage and AEI.
We have an answer, we just don't know how to mess with it.
Yeah, and you know who does? American Enterprise Institute. It's the conservative answer to our messaging, and more people in Congress need to read AEI. I hope to earn your support. Our website is rockyworksforus.com, and my cell phone's in here.